How to quickly analyze a BRR property deal. So BRR stands for buy, refurbish, refinance. So this is where you buy a rundown property, you do it up, and then you refinance at a new value. The way to find these deals, there's plenty of different ways. You can speak with agents, you can look on Rightmove, Zoopla, you can go direct to the vendor by doing leafleting, direct to vendor letters. There's loads of different ways of finding these types of deals. But let's say for this example, you've already found a deal and it's on Rightmove. So let's say you found this property on Rightmove. This is actually a property deal that we sold today to one of our investors. As you can see, it's a 3-bedroom terrace property. It's got 1 bathroom and it's up for £99,950. Now with this deal, we're actually looking to convert it into a 4-bedroom terrace property. So flicking through the photos, you can see that it is pretty run down, definitely in need of a refurb, and it's a fixer-up style property. So this is perfect for BRR, but the way to find out if it's going to be a good deal, we need to sort of work backwards, and there's 4 things that we need to know. So the first thing is going to be what the end value is going to be, so what it's going to be worth after you've done a refurb, and finding that figure out is going to let you know whether or not it's even worth doing a refurb. Then you want to find out what it's going to rent for after it's been refurbished. Once you've found that out, you want to work out what the refurb's going to be, and then finally, once you have all those 3 things, you're going to be able to work out what your offer needs to be to make it a deal. So again, we flicked through the photos. We've seen that it needs a bit of work. It's up for 999, fucking expensive property. It's up for £99,950. It's a 3-bedroom and we're looking to turn it into a 4-bedroom terrace property. So now let's find out what the end value is going to be. How do you do that? You need to find comparables. A comparable is a similar style property that's been done up to a high standard and it's sold recently within the same sort of area as the property that you're looking at. First thing we're going to do is find out how big the property actually is. What is the square footage? And the way we do that is, well, number one, we need to know what the property address is. And then we want to go to the EPC register. So you literally just type in EPC register, click the first one here, scroll down, start now, click domestic property. Then you want to type the postcode in, and then you want to scroll down and find your property. So R1 is 37, so you want to click on that, and then from the EPC, or the Energy Performance Certificate, we're going to be able to see that the property has a total floor area of 92 square meters. Once you know what that is, you can go back and start looking for comparables. So the way we do that is we jump back onto Rightmove at the deal we're looking at, we scroll down, and then we can see here, recently sold and under offer. So when we click on that, it's going to take us to this page and we can see sold here, we can see under offer here, and it's just going to list different properties. So you can see these ones are 0.0 miles away. Now, ideally, if you've got comparables on the same street or, you know, less than 0.1 miles away, then that's going to be ideal. But if you can't find any solid comparables that are that close, you can click on this tab here and it's going to take you to this page where you're going to be able to put within a 1/4 mile radius. So once you've done that, you want to find, like I said, similar style properties that are done up to a high standard that have sold recently within the same area. So we keep scrolling until we find them. So let's say, for example, we find this one. So as you can see, it's a terrace property. It's a 3-bedroom property. Remember, we're converting ours into a 4-bedroom terrace property. And this one sold fairly recently, last year, for £169,995. And as you can see from the photos, it's done up to quite a high standard. And then we can find out what the size of the property is by copying and pasting the postcodes in the EPC register. So remember, R1 was 92 square meters. This one, 161, is 95 square meters. So it's slightly bigger, but it's a similar size. And then what you want to do is you want to find at least 3 solid comparables. So let's say that's the first one. That one works pretty well. I'm not going to scroll through and try find the others. Remember, we've just sold this deal to one of our investors. We already have the comparables. So the next comparable that we've got is 9 David Street. So as you can see, this one again sold recently, last year, for £165,000. It's a terrace property. So this one's another great comparable. And this is another one that sold recently as well, in June 2024, so last year, for £165,000. So those are our 3 solid comparables. Then you want to do the same for rent. So you want to see what sort of rents your property will achieve once it's been done up to a high standard, and you want to try find some solid comparables. So for this particular deal, we've got a property here. It's a 4-bedroom house in a similar sort of area for £955 per calendar month. So we know what the end value is likely going to be. We also know now what the rent's likely going to be once it's done up. Next, we're going to try and quickly work out what the refurb's going to be based on the photos. Now, if you're a little bit new and not that experienced, this is going to be a little bit more difficult at the very beginning because you haven't gotten a lot of viewings, you haven't spoken to a lot of builders, but the more experience you get, the easier this is going to become, and then you can make a quick, rough analysis. This is going to be very rough of what the build quote is actually going to be. Afterwards, you're going to want to get a builder around and they can actually quote up the refurb. But for now, this is just going to be rough. So now we're just going to get a rough idea so that we can put it into our deal analyzer so that we can work out roughly what we're going to need to offer to make the deal work. So obviously from looking at the photos, all of it's going to need to be ripped out and all of that waste is going to need to be removed. Also, if I zoom in here, I can see that there's a plug socket there on the skirting board. So usually this means the property needs a rewire. So account for that. It's also going to need to be plastered throughout. Also going to need new woodwork throughout. Also new internal doors. It's going to need a new boiler, new radiators, new kitchen. And then as you can see as well, it's going to need a new bathroom. And then this is the front bedroom. So this front bedroom is going to be turned into 2 bedrooms. So again, you need to account for that. And then obviously it's going to need to be painted throughout and it's going to have new carpets. So it's quite a big refurb on this one. We're going to estimate roughly around £40,000. So now we've got all those figures. So we've got what the end value is going to be. We've got what it's going to rent for. We've got what the refurb's roughly going to be. Now we can put all of those figures into the deal analyzer and then we can work out what we need to offer to make this a good deal. So we're going to jump to our BRR or buy refurbish deal analyzer. And the first thing that we want to do is put in the asking price. So it's up for £99,950. The refurb, we roughly worked out that it's going to be around £40,000. So it's got fees in here. So those fees are going to be £1,000, legal fees or solicit fees, £1,200. And the stamp duty is already worked out because on our deal analyzer, we've already set it with this drop down to Wales. So obviously stamp duty is slightly different in Wales than what it is in England. So if we just change on our deal analyzer, it's going to work it out automatically. By the way, guys, these are like the best deal analyzers in the game. We had them specially made for us. If you want these deal analyzers, not only for BRR, but also the other strategies as well, like flips, service accommodation, HMOs, then click the link in the description. Anyway, back to the video. So we've put all of those in. We're going to put what the end value is going to be. So the comparables that we looked at were between £165,000 and just under £170,000. But to be a bit conservative, we're going to put ours at £160,000. And then the rent, we're going to put in at £950. So that's automatically going to work out different sort of figures. So let's have a look at them. The total purchase cost is £146,400. The gross yield, 11.41%. BMV, below market value, you can see it's got a slight discount to it. It's just under 17% below market value. The net ROI and the return on capital employed are just under 15%. So it's not a bad deal, but for the deals that we like to sell to our investors, we want these figures to be in green and not red. And the way to get them in green is they need to be all over 20%. So with the deal how it is at the moment, we can see here if we scroll along that the money left in the deal is £26,400. So that means if the investor was to pay the asking price, the refurb's £40,000, and then the end value they get is £160,000. Once they've refinanced at 75% loan to value, they pull out £120,000, meaning they've got £26,400 left in the deal. That's just not good enough for our investors. So how do we make it good enough? We need to work out what we're going to offer. And the way we do that is we reduce what we're going to offer. So let's put in, for example, £90,000. As you can see, that has changed the figures massively. It's now 25% below market value. The ROI is 23.71% and the return on capital employed is 23.71% as well. So we've just changed the asking price, dropping it by about £10,000. So as you can see now, the money left in the deal is £16,450. Now, because we've sold this to our investor and we haven't just found it for ourselves to buy ourselves, we charged the investor a sourcing fee. So the sourcing fee for this one was £4,800. So as you can see, that's now going to affect the figures. So we need to offer less. £85,000. And as you can see, it's made the deal even better. So now it's 29% below market value, and the ROI and the ROCE is 24%. The money left in the deal is £16,250. So as you can see, it's now a great deal. So £85,000 is what we need to offer. Now, if you call up agents and you just put in lowball offers, you're at risk of burning a relationship or pissing off the agent or even pissing off the vendor. So the way you need to make offers is offer without offering. Offer without offering is very simple. Instead of saying to the agent, I want to offer £85,000, you say, if I was to offer around £80,000 or £85,000, do you think I'll be in the ballpark, or do you think I'm a million miles off? By asking the question that way, you're going to be able to gauge whether or not they've had offers that are already higher than what you're looking to offer, and you're basically going to be able to gauge what you can get accepted for without pissing anyone off or putting in any lowball offers. Because you basically still have offered, but you haven't said, I would like to offer this. You're saying, if I was to offer this, would I be in the ballpark, or am I going to be a million miles off? And then that way, you're not pissing anyone off. So someone in the dealers club actually brought us this deal so that we could sell it to one of our investors, and they actually got the offer accepted at £85,000. So the next stage would be to get a builder round to actually do a proper quote on the work that needs doing. The quote actually came back at £36,999.60. So there we go, the deal's even better now. So as you can see, that changes the figures slightly. 30% ROI, just under. And the money left in the deal is £13,249.60. So there you go, guys. That's how you analyse a BRR property deal. If you want deals like this sent straight to your WhatsApp every single day, click the link in the description and join our WhatsApp community.